Okay, so I have converted my racing game. I took some of the variables and pretty much all of the methods that were static methods, and I made them into a class. And those static methods are now class methods. And the reason I did that is because I wanted this race game class to be used by different programs. Anybody who wanted to create a race game could actually use this class, and it would do it. They could call these methods. They could add different racers' names. They could add characters for the racers. Uh, and then they can print the rounds. They can, change positions of the racers. They can check for the winner. So these are all things that you would need to do regardless of who was racing. So I moved this all into the class. So the class at the top here are all of my variables. They are now class properties. The size and the ending point are no longer constants. Those are values that people can enter. The three arrays, name, position, and display character, I've made them nullable because we aren't really going to create them until we know how many uh, racers there are. Okay, so these are all nullable. And then I've got, a Boolean for the winner. I've got a property to store the number of the winner and another one to store the rounds. I did make the rounds static because that is something that if I created multiple objects, which I'm actually not going to do, I'm only going to create one. But if I was to do multiple, I'd want them to share rounds. So I've just made that static for that reason. And so here it is initializing the static uh, property, and here it is initializing the rest. And you'll notice that the three arrays, name, position, and display character, are set to null because I don't know the size yet. Okay. And then for the parameterized constructor, um, this is actually receiving the information it needs to create the arrays. Somebody would have already created those arrays and they are passing them. And so we are just assigning those names to the arrays and to all of the other properties. And then you can see the add name method is pretty much the same as it was before. Um, it's just that now I am using class properties. Okay, that is the only difference. Before I had a name array, okay, but it was a variable. Now my name array is a class property. And same thing goes for the display character. Now it is a class property. Okay, and so there wasn't a whole lot that I had to change in these. I adjusted the variable names. Now they're properties and they're public, so I capitalized them. So I made that change over here. But there's not a whole lot else that I changed. And I did have some indexing thing here where I had to adjust the winner number. So I think I had it set to -1. It was just initialized in the last program. And now because it is part of the class, it already was initialized. And so I just got rid of that because it was actually throwing off my results. So over in the program that is using this class, I get the number that are racing, and then I'm asking them, how far they're going to go. And I take the miles that they are going to go, and I store them in the ending point. And I take the number of people that are racing, and I store them in size. Okay, and actually, I'm going to move size up here. There. Okay. So at this point, I have the size and the ending point. Now that I have size, I can actually create these arrays. So I take my object, dot name, and now I instantiate the array. Okay, and I do the same thing for my position array and my display character array. Okay, so now they actually have a size and I can use them. Okay, so I call add names, which I just showed you, and then I call add display character. So go over here and take another look at add names. Okay, so it's using name.length. The name is my array, and it's just going to loop through. So it's prompting to enter the name, and it's just checking to make sure that it's valid. And once it gets done with this loop, I'm going to have a valid temporary name that I just put into the array. And I do that for each one. And then it just, basically tells them the contestants have been registered. And then we're going to add the display character. So it's going to run through this. Same exact logic as I had before. Okay. And at the end, it just says the contestants are ready to race. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to get my random object. Okay. I'm calling it rand because I do need that. And we're going to stay in this loop. And there's no need really for a menu here because it's a race. So I've got it in a loop. And it's going to stay in the loop until we have a winner. Okay, and so you can see we're printing the rounds. Print rounds is now a class method. It is no longer a static method. And change positions, I'm passing it that random object. So we can actually move the racers. Okay, so we're pulling in that random object. And then you can see that we're using rand next to reposition the racers. Okay, and then it's going to display the results of the round, and then it'll check for a winner. Okay, and it's going to keep repeating this process until somebody actually wins, in which case reindeer.winner is going to be true. Okay, and then it will print out these results. And I could have moved the results over into the class. Um, I guess I decided not to do it that way just because people may want to display their results differently. Although I guess they wouldn't have to call the method. I guess I can move that over. Hold on. All right, so I did move display results over here, and this is going to be called when we have a winner. Okay, so basically now I have everything that you could possibly want the game to do, at least a racing game, uh, over in the class itself. And so any program that uses it really is not going to have to code that much. It's just a matter of kind of displaying what their scenario is and then, determining, the number of racers um, and the distance, and then calling the various methods. Okay, so we'll go ahead and run this. All right, so we'll do 4. How far? So I've set this so that it's I think it's like 0 to 1,000. So I'm going to do 50 miles. And okay, print character. All righty, and there we go. We have a winner. All right, so design considerations. I believe I already stated the purpose. That was for basically anybody who wanted a racing game would be able to use this. Um, and I explained menu versus a loop. There really isn't anything to put in a menu. So um, this is totally a game that requires a loop. You basically loop until you have a winner. So, and I did move all of the static methods over into the class. They became public class methods. And that was because all of this functionality makes sense to put in a race game class. That way, anybody who wants to use it, these methods are already coded out and they work, and they can call those methods and use them. Let's see. I didn't really have too many issues when I was converting this over. It's just a matter of remembering over in the main program that you have to prefix, everything with the class object. Okay? And then when you're over in the class, uh, you are using these properties.